Born and raised in a Pennsylvania Mennonite community and marrying young, she was dedicated to her community's traditional way of life. With a 9th grade education, she started a business from what she knew, sewing. She later left the Mennonite community and expanded her business. When her 3 children were grown, she got her GED, became a volunteer firefighter, and left an unfulfilling marriage of 24 years. She has reinvented herself again and again, and is now reinventing the fashion world with her new line, Fernway Formals, a size-inclusive couture line. She's a designer, mother of reinvention, and a little rock and roll. A little. Ruthy Allyger, everybody.
Or maybe rebel.
Rebel.
Ooh, rebel with a cause.
Rebel with a cause, yes. Yeah. And the designer of my own wedding dress, which is how we met.
One of my very first custom wedding gowns. Not my very first, but I think you were my first at my actual business location. Yeah.
It was so satisfying, too.
It was a really cool experience.
I drew it, and then you made it. It was incredible.
So you designed it. I created it.
You did, which was so cool to have it go from my mind to real life.
That's what I do.
And sewing is a big part of Mennonite tradition.
Oh, for sure, because you don't buy clothes off the rack. Yeah. I mean, maybe your underwear and your socks, but everything else you make.
Definitely not a cape dress.
Cape dresses don't come on a rack. And cape dress means 2 layers on the top for modesty.
I did not know what that meant.
What it means. It's a regular dress with a flap down over to the waist for modesty.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was it like growing up Mennonite?
Very restrictive, obviously. Went to a little Mennonite school, went to Mennonite church, only really shopped at Mennonite grocery stores, Mennonite, pretty much Mennonite everything. You pass the worldly people on the street, and you might hear their worldly music coming out of their car, and you never heard anything like that before. The most music I ever had, other than a cappella 4-part harmony, was what you hear in the grocery store.
Wow.
Not even a piano or an organ or anything in the house.
So you don't, unlike Amish culture, you don't have the thing where you leave for a year and come back?
No. We don't go out and sow our wild oats and then come back to the church. You're expected to grow up and find a good husband to marry and have children and plant a garden and have dinner ready every night when he comes home from work, and raise up those little girls to do the same thing and the boys to go in the footsteps of their dad. Not a bad thing. Good things. Good. Very good things. Just not for me. Much too restrictive for me.
There's different kinds of Mennonites, so I understand.
Just like there is Baptists. I mean, there's as many different shades and stripes. I was fairly conservative. I would say one stop away from the Amish. Like, we had a car. We had electricity, but no radio, no TV, no worldly sports outings, nothing like that.
Yeah, that's pretty conservative, because there's Reformed Mennonites, I guess, and they're more like in the world and not having separate dress, and then there's conservative, and then there's like ultra conservative.
You could go to Pennsylvania and meet someone, and they would say they're Mennonite, and they would look just like you.
Right.
So it's more like what their beliefs are, but the branch that I came from was very, what would you say? They believe in separation from the world.
Right.
Completely.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to a Mennonite grocery store, I would say that's pretty much an echo chamber.
Yep.
So how does one in an echo chamber go, you know what, I think there's another world out there?
I think I always knew I was different. My family's still all that. My brothers and sisters are still in the Mennonite church, 2 Mennonite preacher brothers. My dad still has the big beard. My mom has a big white cap. I looked at people with like painted nails, and I remember taking Vaseline on a Q-tip and doing my eyelashes to make them look like where does that come from? I don't know. I just think you're born open and adventurous and curious, or you're just born ritualistic. I don't know. I just always wanted more.
That's funny. Where does that come from? And why because you're right. Because I remember growing up, my mom would notice that my brother made everything a gun. And it wasn't like, I mean, we're from Nebraska. Like, guns are a thing.
Sure.
But it wasn't like there was no shoot 'em up video games back
Right.
then. And she noticed that all the little boys, you know, if it was a stick, it was a gun. If it was a spoon, it was a gun. Everything was a gun.
I remember cutting, like the most fashion I had was the Sears catalog. And I remember cutting out dresses and like making my own paper doll and changing things up.
Oh my gosh.
And it was sort of taboo. I mean, my mom was pretty cool. She never didn't allow me to do it. But my dad was definitely not accepting of it. I sort of did it on the sneak. Maybe that fed my little rebellion thing, you know, what can you get away with? I don't know. I just think that I was born very open and creative, and I'll never stop growing. I know that. I already know that. I literally I'm divorced now, obviously, for 5 years, and every guy I date, I literally tell them, don't fall in love with who I am today, what Ruthy is, because she's not going to be that next year. She won't be.
And so, I mean, isn't that what we want? Heaven help us if
God,
we are
that's
the
what
same.
I want. I'll be alone the rest of my life if there's not someone that wants to grow as much as I do.
I think growing together is the most beautiful
I'm sure
thing.
it is. Maybe I'll know that one day.
To be continued. So how did you would you just decide one day I'm going to go to a different grocery store? Like, how did you actually?
So I was already married to a Mennonite man living here in Pensacola, Florida, where there was not as much Mennonite around. We were a little Mennonite church off of Hollywood Boulevard. Maybe 8 families, 10 families, most of them his relatives. We left the Mennonite church together because we had little girls that were 1 and 3. And we were literally going, we can't teach them this is the only right way if we don't even really believe that. You know, what do we believe? And we spoke out against a few things that the church did that we felt was wrong. And the power play came in where whatever the big bishop says, that's what happens. And we just said, we can't be a part of that. And we pulled out. And the day I took my cap, the day I took my white cap off my head, my mom called me from Pennsylvania when she heard the word, because that's so taboo. And I remember where I was standing in my kitchen with the dishwasher open, leaned up like against my sink. And my mom basically committed me to hell. She said, you have taken the power of the angels and the protection of the angels off of your head, and you are open to every evil spirit that would want to ruin your life.
Wow.
And in all honesty, you know, my dad tells me every time I talk to him, I pray for you every day that you'll come back before it's too late. And I said, thank you. That's what he knows. But what I know is that I am more spiritual than I've ever been, more in tune with my Creator.
Yeah.
Than ever. Yeah.
Wow. It takes
so I'm
a
not
lot
religious in any way, but I am very spiritual, yes.
And it takes a lot of courage to reinvent your family.
Exactly. We basically drew a line in the sand and said what family we were. We don't have, you know, we are now creating our own, you know, and so I began a lot of little holiday rituals with my kids, and they have people they call Pawpaw and Nana that are not related to them at all, because my family wouldn't come to the celebrations we have. So, but it's good.
It is, yeah. And then you reinvented your business a couple of times just since I've known you, which has been really cool to be a part of in a, you know, long distance kind of a way, but just to have known you.
Watching from a distance.
Exactly.
So, started out sewing out of the house when the kids were little, just doing mending, you know, repairing zippers and hemming pants. And then did altered a friend's wedding gown, and I was so intrigued by it because I didn't even get to wear a fancy wedding dress. Mine was just a plain white Little House on the Prairie, just like all their other dresses. It was just white with my black pantyhose and black shoes. You wore black shoes with everything. And so I was very intrigued, and I loved it, but it was out of my forte. So I went to work at David's Bridal in the alterations for 1 year and 3 months, learned all the tricks of the trade, and said, I got this. I'm doing this.
And you do got this.
And I did this. 2012 I started, and
in 2014 you started doing
when
more.
did I make your dress?
2014.
And then moved into my new location in 2014 and been there since. And I'm already looking to move in somewhere once we launch our line next year. Maybe a place that has room for a studio lighting for my daughter to shoot the dresses and more workspace, because I don't think I'll be altering.
Yeah.
We'll be producing our own line. Yeah.
Can you tell everyone about that yet?
Yeah. So it's going to be called Fernway Formals. We're still locking in all the officials on that. We have a total of 12 that will be launching in New Orleans at New Orleans Fashion Week, September 2020. Don't have the exact dates on that. But they will go down the runway showing our size inclusiveness. They're like a tall, skinny black girl and then a white, curvaceous babe with tattoos, rocking our very edgy line. A little bit of stud detail, a little bit of zipper detail. Not punk, not goth, very high-end couture, but touches elements of edgy.
It's so
hardware.
you.
It's me. So you. I mean, if I ever got married again, do you think I'm going to wear tulle and lace? No. No.
I'd be shocked.
No, I might ride in on my Harley.
Yeah, girl. Get it.
That I don't have yet, but that's part of my dream. That's part of this.
That's part of the dream?
That's part of the dream, yeah.
So what's the total end goal for you?
The end goal for me is, obviously, starting out, it's going to be my daughter and I. That Natalie works with me now. She's there sewing right now while I'm here doing this.
Thanks, Natalie.
Yeah. And so we're going to do online orders, fashion shows, trunk shows at little boutiques around the Southeast or wherever else they want us. International, I don't care. And then so when the orders come in, I will physically cut them out and sew them, her and I. Once the orders are more than we can handle, I've already started sourcing a list of girls just like myself, rebel, ex-Mennonite, ex-Amish girls that didn't go to school. Some of them have less education than I do, but guess what they all are very good at is sewing. And they don't have to live in Pensacola, Florida to produce my dresses. It will be somewhat of a coaching thing where I will go sit with a girl maybe in Pennsylvania or Virginia and teach her side by side how to make one of my styles. And every time that style is ordered, I cut it out, ship her the pieces in a priority mailbox, and she can put it together while her kids are asleep or at school.
That's amazing.
And be a 100% mom and meet her own needs. Because she can't call dad and say, I'm short on rent this month. He would not. We don't have that kind of support behind us. Mm-hmm. So it's not just my line, but it's also empowering women. That's why Fernway Formals is the name. Because where do ferns grow?
In the dark.
In the dark, out of a crack in the concrete, in the shade. No one expects it. Mm-hmm. I didn't go to fashion design school. I didn't go to college. So.
That's amazing.
But I can make you a rockin' dress. Just tell me what you want.
I know you can. And that gives me goosebumps just to, as I'm picturing you sitting down with the women who are in the Mennonite community who want more options. They don't know what the next step is. Mm-hmm. Maybe they weren't born with that bold rocker rebel gene.
Right. Not everyone. There's a lot of lost and hopeless women in the Mennonite church. I see that. Like their eyes are just dark. They're just, it's dead. It's very, even my sister, I look at them and there's just no spark there. They're just existing. And there's still women in the Mennonite church that are scared to leave because they don't have a job. How are they going to support themselves? How can they even find a place to live? I know one girl that left in her car and slept in her car, lived in her car for like 6 weeks. And she just went from house to house of other people that had left the Mennonite church, just kind of trying to find her roots and figure out what she's going to do. I'll take those girls.
There's a quote by Steve Jobs that talks about you can only connect the dots backwards. And when I look back at my life, there's so many uncertain moments, not as uncertain as what you must have been experiencing, but uncertain. And looking back, I can see the value of all of those moments. Mm-hmm. How does that feel for you looking back?
Some days I cry because I I don't want to ever forget the fear, the, like that. I mean, I didn't want to hurt my mom. And when that conversation on the phone and I knew that I disappointed her, that doesn't feel good. I'm proud. I'll tell you what I do most of the time. Let's be honest, in the last year, I'll be driving. My car is kind of my sanctuary and the beach. But my car is like, I will literally just feel the need to put the soundtrack on from The Greatest Showman. Yeah, you know it.
I do.
This is me.
Yeah. This is
me. I march into the beat of my own drum. Look out, because here I come.
And don't you feel that it helps your courage for further reinvention? Because as you said, you have no plans of resting on your laurels.
Oh, no. Again, so I faced the fear of leaving, knowing my life would be different, not knowing what it would be like. And there is still parts that are hard. Like, I'll be honest, if you want to go out and party with me, I can drink and watch y'all dance, but don't grab my hand and try to drag me on the dance floor. I never danced. You go to hell if you dance. So, you turn music on and you see the little kids shaking their booty. I never even heard music, much less a beat. And so I hear it, I feel it, and in my car it might be like, this is me.
Yeah.
Look out, because here I come. But in public, on the dance floor, I don't know the moves. Girls will grab me and they'll say, come on, this dude, dance this one with me. You know this one. I'm like, I know the song. I hear it on the radio, but I don't know the dance that goes with that. They're like, that's high school. And I'm like, not my high school. I was copying scripture verses, being judged for my penmanship, and having to quote it by memory at the end of the week.
Yeah.
So there's times, you look at me and you're like, oh, she's a self-confident, rocker, whatever. Yes, I am, and no, I'm not.
Yeah.
So I'm learning to, and through my therapist, to coach and love that inner child that feels wounded and cheated sometimes. But it's okay. And like I tell my kids all the time, you can't be good at everything. Figure out what you're good at, what you're damn good at, excuse my French. Stick with those and delegate the rest.
Yeah, and understand what you're good at and what you're not good at has value, because being obviously where you're at and having the experiences that you've had is not only creating this super cool line, which I'm so excited about.
I know, I can't wait.
It's so beautiful. I've had a sneak peek, everybody, and it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
But you're able to offer value to other people in the Mennonite community and not in the Mennonite community, because just because you're not in a certain group of people doesn't mean that you're not trying to have the courage to reinvent yourself.
Absolutely.
So I want to talk about a few tips, and I hope you can add to them.
Okay.
For maybe listeners who, man, they just want to reinvent themselves. Maybe they are just starting to see the power of starting over, which was small rabbit trail, was something I was thinking about this morning, that starting over in our culture, and I think in most cultures, is a penalty. It feels like a penalty. You're penalized.
You think you failed. It feels like you think that you're going back to start first grade again. No, you're not.
No.
You just left elementary school and now you're starting middle school. You're at a new school, but you're not going back.
Yeah.
You're just building on what you already knew and you're taking it to the next level.
And being from Nebraska, probably I'll always have farm analogies, even though, full disclosure, I grew up in a little town, not in farm. I didn't do 4-H or anything.
Okay.
But I think about when you harvest the crops, you clear the field. You maybe to some start over, but you're just planting new things. So the real tips that I have on reinventing yourself was start by sorting your beliefs. The hand-me-down beliefs versus the authentic ones.
Absolutely. What is you and what was put on you? There was that one little quote that meant a lot to me through leaving, and it was, maybe the goal is not to become anything, but to unbecome everything that you are not.
Oh, that's so good.
And that's what I feel like I've been shedding lots of layers. Yeah.
Dang, that is good, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think now your therapist has to bill me. That was so good.
Oh, I I better name a number.
And the second thing that for reinventing yourself is diversify your community.
Absolutely. I had to start with a whole new friend group twice. Well, 3 times. When I left Pennsylvania, married my husband, and moved here, I left everybody and everything I knew and started from scratch. And then when we left Mennonite church here, once again, we had to build a new circle of friends because the Mennonites didn't hang out with us anymore. And then when I got divorced, when who you think is your friends, you find out is not. They were his friends, and that's okay, you know.
It happens.
So I had to start again, building another circle. I would say the circle of friends that I have now, I mean, from all the aspects of my life, I would say I picked, and the ones that have stayed with me through all those different phases, they're the real deal.
They are the real deal.
I could call any of them in the middle of the night and say, I need help. Mm-hmm. I need legal backup, but I don't have the money. Mm-hmm. There's somebody I could call. Mm-hmm. I got a lot of people that got my back.
Yeah, and having different people who are around you who have different thoughts and different. It doesn't mean you handpick your friends, but exposing yourself to a diversity of people is a great way to reinvent yourself because it kind of shows you what some options are.
I believe the universe brings them to you who you're ready for.
That's so true. That's so true.
Yeah.
And the last one that I had was just try new things. Say yes to things that you would normally pass on, and
get on the dance floor. That's literally I'm at that point where I'm like, I might take a class. I might just go to the beach and put headphones on and just get loose, you know? With nobody watching.
I'll look for you. I say that like I'm on the dance floor all the time. I love to dance, but
again, I want to overcome that fear.
Zumba.
My daughter taught Zumba for a while, and I would go to support her, but I really didn't enjoy it. No, because it was like, you're trying to get the rhythm and the pattern, and about the time I get it, she's switching to another thing, which is what Zumba is, which is cool. I don't know where she got it. She didn't get it from me, but it's okay. I'm just learning I think I'm learning to feel, and that's why I'm going to take that word out. That's why I haven't been able to dance, because I wasn't allowed to feel. I'm 48 years old, and I would say in the last year, I've finally allowed myself to feel a lot of things. Some don't feel good at all. Others feel really just heavenly.
So what advice would you give to listeners who are trying to have the courage to, like you have had, to reinvent themselves and maybe even feel?
Alone time. You never find yourself in the middle of a crowd. I numbed myself with a lot of things. I kept myself busy so that I wouldn't have to process everything. The firefighter phase, sure, I loved it, but I'm not active right now. Partly because of location. I moved it back from Milton back into Pensacola. Will I pick it up again? No, I think it was a phase of service and me finding myself. And what I found there was more courage and facing fears. And that the blessing of getting up in the middle of the night twice and going on calls and coming home exhausted and still getting up and go to work the next day, but you were tired. You felt good because you were tired because of what you did. I think that was in a physical sense. I think I'm going somewhere else with it. My therapist actually says, Ruthy, I think your dresses is not what you will retire on. I think that's how the world's going to find out about you. I think you will be speaking to women all over, empowering them and giving them courage.
I, for one, would not be shocked if that were the case. So how can people get a front row seat to watch you? Social media, real life, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, the best place right now, I admit I didn't jump on the Instagram wagon in time. My business has one little blurb on there from my very first fashion show I did, and that's it, because literally I'm so busy working. I don't have time to do all that. My Facebook business page, Ruthy's Creations and Alterations, has more. Even that I don't update very often, but it does have before and afters and custom gowns and things like that. Follow that, and I mean, heck, become my friend on Facebook. There's no such thing as too many friends unless you're a creep or a stalker. Then, I'll delete you real quick and block you. But yeah, follow me on, because Ruthy's Creations and Alterations on Facebook will have all the updates when our website goes active. I mean, the lookbook that will be ready to roll the day the dresses go down the runway. We may drop a sneak peek or two from the shoot.
Please do.
Oh, you might be in a shoot. You might be modeling one of the dresses for the photo for the lookbook.
Let's do it.
But yeah, follow that, because that will have everything. And
so
and
Fernway
when we have the date,
will be on there.
Fernway Formals you'll find that and the links to that, and then that will be on Instagram. My daughter literally just won Best of the Coast for person to follow on Instagram.
Wait, let's give a shout out to her.
Natalie,
what's her Instagram?
Nallgyer, Nallgyer.
Okay.
Nallgyer. And so she's very editorial, photographing, and also very much for body positivity, helping girls, doing photo shoots to help them to embrace who they are in their body, even if they thought it was imperfect because of what the world tells us. So she'll be handling all that. I mean, she sews for me all the time, but I really see her just being my photographer and media manager.
So you're just getting started.
I mean, I'm literally like drooling, like I can taste it. And today, if I would do what I really wanted to do, I'd just shove those racks of dresses that are in there to be altered out the door, and I would just go straight into production, because that's what I really want to do. Mm-hmm. But I can't. Mm-hmm. It is my vehicle getting me there. So that's supporting me. That's my bread and butter till the line is going down the runway.
Well, stay tuned, everyone. Well, I'm so glad that you could come and talk with me today. You and I, as always, can talk forever. So I wish we had more time.
It's so good to see you again,
It's so good to see you. So that's a wrap. High five, girl. You did great. Woo!